So before we start, I thought I'll also introduce some humor. A disclaimer, given the age of Chat GPT, that this PPT has not been made using any AI tool. It's purely made by human beings. Yeah. So we'll just take a glimpse of, CX in the past, right? We may have, forgotten this, but, this is something which we all have experienced, right? Not too long ago, especially in the pre-COVID era, right? Lots of documentation, endless waiting on call, right? We've seen that even when you go back again, you don't get recognized, limited options. We have seen, language barriers, right? And sometimes it becomes difficult to manage, especially when there is an overdose of information. So how do we move from that, to the present and then to the future? Yeah, so just a couple of slides on what we've seen, in terms of changes in consumer behavior. Because when you talk about moving from the past to the present and to the future, it's also good to understand, how consumers have changed. We all are producers at one level, and we all, are also consumers, right? Throughout, virtually on a daily basis in many of our interactions. So this is something, which, we've seen through various studies, that a lot of customers today are looking for simplification. They do not want to curate experiences themselves. They'd like to have the service provider curate experiences for them. They'd also like to, have a very simple process. Intuitively we find simplification, coming through in a major way, across industries and across all forms of goods and services. We've also seen, how social media has helped us develop an entirely new dimension, right? Today, shopping is unthinkable, right, without the internet or without looking at user reviews, right? We got so used to it, but it wasn't too different, right, not too long back. And, that also creates scope for experimentation, because when you don't have to travel physically, when you're on the net, you can just, keep on experimenting without having to worry about, sunk cost in terms of time. The other thing which we've seen is, voice is increasingly playing a big role. Here when we say voice, we're not referring only to human voice, we're also referring to tech-enabled voice, right? Started with human voice, then you went into text, and now you're looking at, voice and video through tech. So that's how, we're seeing a change. And we're also talking about intelligent self-help, and I'll cover that in some of the use cases, going forward.